I have been married for 51 years. Got 2 sons, 42 and 40. I'm still supporting the little boogers. Needed to take a test to see if any of us had a kidney good enough for my brother. Found out something interesting. They ain't my kids. There's somebody else's.
This man spent the last 40 years being tricked and lied to, while the woman who did it gets away with her lifelong deceit. He no doubt has a strong relationship with the 2 men. However, that does not negate the pain he is feeling from learning that he was betrayed and lied to for over 4 decades.
Imagine risking your life to save a stranger from being mugged, robbed, and hurt, and then being arrested for helping them, and then being publicly slandered because she wasn't happy over how you rescued her. This sounds like a made-up story, but it's not. Because that's exactly what happened to this man John wrote in New York. He saw a woman getting mugged in the subway. He decided to step in, told the mugger, "Hey, get away from her." He didn't listen the first time. Then he yelled, pulled out the gun, said, "Hey, get away from her," and fired 2 warning shots. Despite facing over 3.5 years in jail for trying to save the life of a stranger, the woman that he saved is saying that he would have been a bigger hero if he had helped without a gun. He thinks it's scary to think that people are carrying guns around New York City, despite the fact that she was being mugged and would have been hurt without one. He said that the gun was a little too extreme. You know what's more extreme? Living in a city where the person who was trying to mug you and hurt you doesn't go to jail, but the person who saved you does. That seems extreme to me. Protecting and letting the guy who was going around mugging people, but the guy who's going around helping, he's facing 3 years in jail. That's really messed up. And of course, this is happening in a blue city.
Watched a white girl fight off a robber at gunpoint. He literally had a gun to her. She fought him off, got the magazine out the gun and everything. But the crazy part about it was that there was two men watching very close by. I mean, literally very close by. They were right within the vicinity, which is weird because why would that man try to rob her with those 2 guys there? But he did it because he knew they wasn't gonna do shit, and they did not. It was one man sitting on the.
I don't know why this is such a hard concept to understand, but women created the situation where they dislike men so much that men finally said, "Fuck it, we're not going to help you, we're not going to protect you, we owe you absolutely nothing, and because you're just some random stranger, I no longer have to help you." And really what gets me about the video is that there's a lot of other people in that video. Most people did a singular focus on the man sitting in the grass when that woman was getting attacked, but there were women there. So what happened to women supporting women? You know, y'all like to preach like how you're girls and you're supporting each other and oh my God, I'm always here for you. But you see a woman getting attacked and there's 2 women walking the other direction. Why aren't they running to her defense? Right, because you want the men that you claim are such trash to save you. And this is a perfect example of what women do all of the freaking time. They create this standard for how men should treat them, whether that's in the dating phases, in the marriage stages, in friendships, whatever it is. And they created this standard where they hate men so much, but now you want protection from said men. And now that you don't get it, the men are weak. Make it make sense. You cannot continuously drag men and blame the patriarchy and all of this around you, but then expect men to jump in and save you. Why don't you all call a freaking bear?
She hit the nail on the head. They want to shame men openly on social media, then act surprised when the group they just got done insulting is no longer as willing to put their life at risk to save a random stranger they don't know. I also like how she pointed out how their strong and independent girl mindset only seems to work when they benefit from it. However, the second they're not benefiting from it, that mindset disappears.
I cannot stress this enough. Men are not worth settling for in any circumstance, any way, shape, or form. It's not worth it. Like, we're so indoctrinated to believe that, like, we have to get married. We have to, like, aspire to, like, having a relationship, having a man in our lives. Like, the goal shouldn't be to get married. The goal should be to be happy. So if a man in your life is not making your life better, easier, happier, more enjoyable, like, there's no reason he should be in your life. At least when men settle for a partner settle. They get like a personal assistant, a house manager, a nanny, a chef, a therapist. What do women get when we settle for a man that treats us like less than the way that we want to be treated? We get emotionally, physically, mentally drained. It is not worth it. Once you get to the like mindset that like men are not worth settling for, that is when you get the good men, because they're the only ones that you'll accept.
Just another example of single women keeping other women single. I notice the women who constantly mention happiness as a requirement for a long-term commitment, when happiness is a fleeting emotion that comes and goes over time, tend to be single. This isn't a surprise when we consider that they make a lot of their decisions based off of how their emotions are making them feel in that specific moment, leading to them making bad decisions that they later regret.
This girl wanted a rich and attractive husband, so she went on LinkedIn and found guys with impressive job titles at tech companies. Once she found a guy who was cute and rich enough for her, she went to his other social media pages and found out what his dad did for a living. Once she found out that the dad taught pottery at a local art studio, she signed up for his 10-week class. Throughout the 10-week class, she's dropping breadcrumbs to other students and the teacher about what kind of guy she's looking for in a long-term relationship. All she did was go to the son's social media page and list out all of his hobbies and say, I'd love to find somebody who does all of these things and has a great job in tech. The dad obviously overhears all of this and is like, oh my gosh, I have a single son who would be perfect for this girl. So the dad called her over after class one night and says, hey, I don't want this to be weird, but if you want to go on a blind date with my son, I'd be happy to ask him to see if he would go out. She's elated, but she keeps her poker face on and is like, oh yeah, that'd be great. Why don't you set us up for some drinks? They go on a date and they are vibing. He thinks he found his dream girl and she knows that she found what she wanted because she plucked them off the internet. From what I know, he is about to propose to her, which means she is weeks away from realizing her dream of sitting out by the pool all day while he goes clickety-clack on a keyboard at work all day, bringing home that money.
What happened to men pursuing girls?
What happened? Why aren't men pursuing women anymore? Honestly, I don't know why women keep asking this question over and over. But let's see if we can try and explain it to them one more time. But let's be honest, though. The answers we're giving them are going to go in one ear and right out the other, because the reality is they don't really want to know what men actually think. They just want men to validate what they think is the reason, even though it's completely wrong. So why are men not approaching women anymore? Well, to quote an old guy from a few hundred years ago, let me count the ways. And I'm going to give you the 3 biggest reasons why men have stopped approaching. Number 1, because there's nothing to be gained in doing so. Sorry, ladies, but men have figured out that while you think you can have all the insane expectations in the world, like if he isn't 6 feet tall with 6-pack abs and a 6-figure income, you also tell us that if men have even the slightest of expectations, hell, any at all, then we're controlling, manipulative, and abusive. The expectation in today's relationships is that they're a one-way street where men give, and get nothing in return. Thanks, but no thanks. Number 2, because it's not safe to approach women anymore. The risk to being in the vicinity of a woman or a group of women, let alone approaching one, is simply too great. False allegations are rampant at work, at school, in the home, literally anywhere in today's society. Women have weaponized Me Too and are using it to get back at men for even the slightest of reasons, knowing not only will they be believed, even when it's been proven beyond a doubt that they're lying, but that they'll get a ton of sympathy for the trauma they faced. Approaching a woman nowadays isn't just taking the risk of getting mocked, made fun of, or told to go away, incel. It carries the very real risk of arrest, prison, and having your life destroyed. Ask yourselves, ladies, would you be willing to take that risk, knowing that if you just happen to pick the wrong person to approach, they'll destroy your life just because they can? Yeah, I didn't think so. And finally, number 3, the biggest and best reason of all. You told us not to, ladies. You've made it abundantly clear you don't want us, don't need us, and most importantly, don't want us approaching you. So while you may think we men aren't listening, aren't paying attention, we heard you loud and clear, and we men are giving you exactly what you want. Which begs the question, why, for the love of God, do you keep asking these same questions over and over?